Good morning, strangers and friends, and Happy New Year! Welcome back to episode 12 of Sometimes I Make Things, a knitting vlog show primarily about knitting, but we do other things here as well. And this is my year-end wrap-up for 2022. If you don't know me, my name is Grace, and I've been making YouTube videos for about the past year and a month, and I'm really looking forward to doing this wrap up where it's the first year I've kind of shown my projects throughout the year. So if you've watched some of my other videos, you might recognize things, and if this is your first encounter with me, hello, the pleasure is all mine. Before going on, a few notable things to mention. First, I am currently drinking some TinCanKnits green tea out of a mug that I got for Christmas from one of my lovely friends, Sandra. And it's like a handcrafted pottery mug dupe, but I love it so much. It's beautifully done. I love the speckling. I'm a big mug person here. And TinCanKnits green tea, if you're a green tea person, it's very yummy. It's got a good oxidized flavor to it. The other thing that I wanted to say is thank you very much for the warm response to my last video that I made. It's the most attention I've ever gotten on a YouTube video, and it was just nice that I spent if you haven't seen it, I did a full month vlog about the making of this sweater actually, which I'm very proud to show off. I'll talk more about it later. But I spent the whole month working on it. I had exams and other things, and it was just this nice, fun thing I was doing throughout the month. So to publish it and be really proud of it, and then get a really warm response and lots of nice comments it just made me feel really good. It was a very positive way to end the year. That just a little ego boost. Not really ego boost, but it was nice. It made me feel that sense of community, which I mentioned is what I'm really looking for with doing YouTube. So thank you for that. And if that video is what brought you over to my channel, thank you for being here. Stick around. All right, now that we have our introductions out of the way, let's get to the meat and potatoes of it all. So, for organization purposes, today I am using my knitting journal. I'd love to do a little tour of it sometime in the future, but it's not too much right now. I actually got this last year in a giveaway from Elise Maid. She does like a yearly unfollower giveaway, she calls it, where the people that stuck around, she does a little giveaway just for her followers, and I happened to win it last year. So I've been using it as my knitting journal. That felt fitting. But I've made a list of everything that I made in the past year by month, and I was kind of surprised actually. It was a shorter list than I thought because I felt like I did so much knitting in 2022. But in the end, we have 15 finished objects, which, I mean, I am not complaining. I had a wonderful time, but it was a little less than I thought it would be, funnily enough. But let's get into it. So I'm going to go through it month by month. Some of these things have been gifted away. I don't have any more. So we're going to go through it as we do. I might insert some clips if I can, or just examples of through the year how I've worn the different pieces if I have photos from outings with friends or from Instagram, to kind of just give you an idea of not just what I made, but how it's fit into my life since making it. So we're going to start off with January. And the first thing that I made in January was a gift. I made the Drejo pattern by Fiber Tales. This is a brioche headband that has a twist in the front, and I had cast this on Christmas Day 2021, and a goal I had for 2021 was to learn brioche. So I did with this headband. It was a last minute New Year's resolution, pulled it off. And it was very fun, it's very squishy, and gifting it to my friend Emily. I don't know if I would make it again, just because I'm not really a headband person. I don't like how they scrunch my hair. Hopefully I didn't just ruin my hair. yeah, I just don't think they work for my head type. I have a pretty large head, so they usually just squeeze me in a weird way with my hair. But as far as a learning pattern, if you want to learn brioche or if you really like headbands, it's excellent. Definitely make it. I made mine using lichen and lace and some kind of mystery mohair, and that merino sock and mohair combo was excellent. The next piece that I finished is one of my favorites, and it is my gingerbread sweater by Espace Tricot. Espace Tricot is a knitting shop in Montreal, and they release a bunch of free patterns, and this is their kind of basic raglan design. So I made this last year in January, and like the whole month basically. And similar to my last video, I made a vlog episode, which I can link right here, of me making that sweater. And basically what happened in January, there was a 3-week lockdown in my province, and I was like, you know what? Really sucks that there's another COVID lockdown. I'm gonna see if I can knit a sweater within that time. And pulled it off. It did take me a titch longer to finish just because, you know, life things, but this is a fantastic raglan sweater pattern. It's got cute short little cuffs. It has short row shaping on the back of the neck, which I think if you're gonna knit a sweater, do short row shaping on the neck. Just do yourself that favor. You know, your classic raglan, and I did, as an extra detail, hopefully you can see on the camera, but I did a little split hem, and I made the back hem a little bit longer and a little bit wider, so the split of the hem kind of sits at my hip bones, and I think that's just a fun detail. You can see Maven popping in here. Old black lab, good girl. This was made using hey baby. This is made using Knitting for Olive Merino and Camaro's Midnight Sol. The Midnight Sol, I'm not sure if I would ever use again. The Knitting for Olive Merino, I think, is a pretty promising yarn. I haven't used it since, but I'm going to keep my eye out for it. It's a pretty light fingering. So that is my gingerbread sweater. Highly recommend. Highly. So that was everything for January. A sweater and a headband. Pretty good. We move on to February. So in February, I made a hat, which was also a gift, and I didn't take any finished object photos of it. I just have like one progress photo. So I swear I finished it. I gave it to my sister, and I have never seen it again. I'm pretty sure she likes it. When she put it on, she was like, oh wow. It was by Purl Soho. Again, basic ripped hat. I made it using, what was the pattern, or the Drop Sky. Loved knitting with Drop Sky. It's a yarn kind of like the sweater that I'm wearing right here, but again, we'll get to that later. Chinette style, blown alpaca, very soft, very light. It was this beautiful hazelnut color, and yeah, I honestly would definitely make myself a hat in Drop Sky, or recommend Drop Sky. It was very pleasant. I don't know how much it wears, like as well as repeated use, just because I haven't seen how much the hat gets worn or how it is wearing, but from a knitting perspective, I'm into it. The next thing I made in February was a first for me, and it was a pair of mittens. Pull them out of our bag here. These are the World's Simplest Mittens by TinCanKnits, and they are lovely. I don't own a lot of mittens, so I actually wear these pretty often. I did do a slight modification, which was in the decreases. The decreases in the actual pattern are symmetrical. I did asymmetrical decreases. So if you see here, this edge is a more steep curve than this one, which is a more lower angle, just because that's how your fingers work. So I took the World's Simplest Mitten, I made them a little bit less simple. But other than that, I followed the pattern directly, and these are wonderful. I haven't made any mittens since. I would like to do some fingerless gloves this year. Oh, excuse me. Need to drink a little more tea. These were made using Sweet Georgia Sport in the London Fog colorway, as well as some Knit Picks Aloft. I might have, I'm not sure if I held this yarn double. It looks like I did. Yeah, I held the Sport double for this. They're very nice, thick, juicy. Big fan of these guys. If anyone asked me to make the mittens, or if you wanted to make mittens for kids, these, I'm pointing at you, these are the ones. very happy with those. They've worn really well. And they're very cozy. I think the mohair actually adds quite a bit of warmth just because it traps air with all the tendrils that it has. The final piece that I made in February was a cowl, which I have made cowls before, but they're not something I make very often. So it's a little bit of a standout. This is the cooler side of warm, also by Espace Tricot, who did the gingerbread sweater pattern. Now it's a very simple ribbed at the bottom. We've got a tapered line and then ribbed again at the top. And the fun thing about this one is that it has a split hem at the bottom, so it sits a little nicer on your shoulders. So this one, I'm not a big hat or cowl wearer, but it just kind of made sense. Like it fits very nicely around the neck. In the styling, they had like one edge down, one edge up, and like a leather cuff on it. It looked very cool. I don't have any leather cuffs, maybe this year. But it just, the split allows it to lay a little more flat on your chest. I don't have a mirror in front of me, so I have no idea how this is going. But as you can see, it bunches up very nicely around the neck. This is lovely for going on walks, and I just find cowls so much less fussy than scarves when you're trying to like go out and you have all this wrapped around your neck, whereas this is very simple, easy on, easy off. So I would say this is a great first knitting pattern, beginner. You can practice your ribbing in the flat, then you can practice doing your stockinette in the round, as well as ribbing in the round at the end and casting off. This is a very functional knit. It's knit in Cascade 220. I believe the color is called Chocolate. It's really much more of a reddish tone though than I would say a chocolate. It's like a very dark, dark berry. Yeah, so that was February. In March, no finished objects. It's the way it is. I was just working on different projects. I had new cast-ons, I had work, all that jazz. So yeah, nothing to show for myself for March. It's a good month. I like March. And next we'll move on to April. In April, I did one of my all-time favorite patterns, which are heel tab shorties. I will give you a better look. Here we go. So this is the heel tab shortie. It is a cuff pattern by, let me quickly reference my names here, Amanda Steck, who also goes by Purl Bug. So this is a folded over short row heel tab, and these stay up wonderfully. I just have no issues with that design, and I've made these one pair last year, love them. I'm probably gonna make a pair this year as well. These are my just go-to sock pattern. I don't want to do them any other way. They're so fun to make and they're just so comfortable. I follow kind of my own vanilla sock pattern after that. I really like doing a slip stitch heel. I love how squishy it is, and I like the kind of texture that it gives. And then just turning the heel and knitting plain, and I use the toe from Hermione's Everyday Sock, which is like such a popular pattern. The thing that I did differently with this one is I used a mixture of scraps and shorties. So this was scrap, so was this, and then these two were shorties that I bought, or not shorties, mini skeins that I bought from the Knitting Loft, and these are they have their own house yarn, so these are colorways of theirs. And they are just the most fun, brilliant spring sock. I wear these really often. I finished them on my birthday, which is April 16th, so that's a nice memory as well. And oh, I'm in love with this like speckly confetti color with the neons in it. It's so fun. What I did, I haven't written down the chart for it, though I might at some point, because I think I would like to do these more often. It's a little bit hard to see, but that's a color work section right there. So it just blended the fibers nicely, in my opinion. And then I also did some color work just around the end of the heel there. And I just really like adding that little extra bit of, I think, you know, it adds a bit more tension, so it holds your foot a little better, but also it's some visual interest, and just, it's more fun to knit than just knitting plain. So I think I'm gonna try to recreate these socks in a different, completely different color idea. I have like black and yellow, but I'm gonna basically try to exactly recreate these, this pattern of sock, and I'm gonna probably write it out for myself to just be, this is how I want to make my shorty socks, because they're fun, they're simple, and they're just, I love these socks. These are like absolutely my favorite socks I've ever made. And they're going to be hard to top, because I just, every time I look at them, I smile. Like, these are just, they're great socks. I'm a sock lady. So what did we do next in April? The outline tank. Yes. So I made an outline tank last year and I wanted to try it again. It's a pretty nice pattern. I just didn't pick like the right size for myself, so it was a little bit too large. So I might honestly frog my old outline tank and reknit it, and I kind of think this is the fate that'll befall this outline tank as well. So what I did differently with this one is I tried to kind of imitate the outline tee pattern that Jessie May has, because it did look pretty similar to the outline tank. Obviously, like, you know, she has short rows included in there. I don't know if the gauge is different or what. But basically all I was doing with this one was, well, here it is, first of all, my outline tee. Instead of doing decreases on this side, I just knit straight, and then just the decreases in the middle and the back flat, across, and then joined at the top, like a very simple t-shirt pattern. I like the feel of this yarn. This is Knit Picks Lindy Chain in the celery colorway. But I just don't wear this. I think that it's a little just too wide here. It just falls off my shoulders a lot. It doesn't like just sit comfortably and easily. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, I think I just have to like shorten the back, but because you have this lovely drop stitch detail in the back, I don't want to mess with how the back is scrunched up. Like, I don't want it to be like folded over and stuff and hide it. I just haven't really had the time or the mental place to think about fixing it. But yeah, like this is a huge neck hole. So I think what I might do is basically pull it back to the body portion and then just reknit it plain as like an outline tank, and I'd probably change the decreases to make them a little like a more narrow V if I can. I find the wide V just doesn't really work well for my shoulders. It tends to fall off very easily, which is kind of the problem I had with my other outline tank. So I want this to work. I really like this yarn as a summer yarn. I would buy Lindy Chain again. It has like that like rougher plant yarn feel, but it's a very satisfying plant yarn feel. Like, I would not call this soft, I would call it coarse, but it's not like rough on your skin by any means. It just feels like a plant should feel, which I like. So yeah, this one, when I have the time, probably this summer, I'm gonna frog it. Might try to redo it. I mean, I do want this yarn to be this pattern. I just need to kind of make it better for me. So this one was a bit of a fail for the year, but you know, it happens. What I like about knitting is learning that process of making something that works for your body and kind of, I guess it's couture, making it for yourself, for your body. So yeah, you have to have a few misses in order to have the hits be satisfying. So next we're moving on to May, and I have probably like the cutest gift knit ever for May. My mom's birthday is the first week of May, and I knit her a little duck. This is the Lucky Duck pattern by Garland, who you might know as those very cute knitted frogs that were trending this year and like the cute sweaters. She made that pattern. So she has oodles of wonderful patterns. I haven't made the frog. I might have to do it this year just because I'm seeing so many cute versions of it. But yeah, Lucky Duck. This was such a fun and interesting pattern to do. It's knit flat, you do short row shaping, you join at the back of the head, you knit the body flat, you seam it down the chest, you knit these as the feet are knit also as one long piece that you then fold over, so they're a little extra thick. Doesn't stand up for itself very well, but yeah, this was just so fun and so cute. Mom loved it. This was made using Sheppies, stone washed, a little bit of my leftover Knit Picks Aloft mohair from another project you'll see later. So it is like a yellow and purple color that I used combined together to make this duck. I think it works, even though purple is kind of an unusual color to think of for a duck. I think it kind of gives a young feathered look to our little friend here. And then this was some cotton yarn that I used for the beak and the feet, and just little black plastic beads that I sewed on for the eyes. Definitely recommend Garland's patterns. I haven't made any more than just this one, but I have her badger pattern and I have her baby penguin pattern, and I I am making those. Like, I am so excited to do them. I want to knit all of her stuff. It's cute, it's charming, it's very Beatrix Potter. And she just has this beautiful Instagram account, and she really supports people who knit her patterns and sell them on like Etsy or whatever. She'll like repost and share it, and she just has a really nice community, Claire Garland. So yeah, that's lucky duck. The second piece that I finished in May is the Look at My Holes by James N. Watts. Love this pattern and this FO. I wore this so much in the summer over top of dresses. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to show maybe over my black sweater. But yeah, wearing a tank top under this, wearing this over top of a summer dress, so fun. I wore this to the Kawartha Yarn and Fiber Festival, and I got so many compliments on it. It's just lovely. I want to make one of these in a beige color, maybe this year, maybe next year, or like an off-white, like a very light antique kind of color. And I want to make it long sleeved because I think that would be fun. But yeah, this is phenomenal. It was so fun to make. I knit this using Bernat Softy Cotton, which I got for like $5 a ball. And I think this took 2 balls. Yeah, I had 2 balls. So yeah, this pattern costs like, or this knitting thing, I think cost like 10, maybe it was $7 a ball, $15, less than $20 to make this. And it's one of my favorites. Very comfortable. The Softy Bernat Cotton, definitely would buy again if I saw it. It's pleasant to work with. It's like hefty in a nice way, that this feels like this sweater can, like, it doesn't feel like it's delicate and won't get damaged. I feel like I could throw this on and wear it and then go and have a good time. Yeah, James's patterns are super fun, and this one was a real treat. So yes, the Look at My Holes. This is a smash. Smash. Love it. And that was everything for May. And in June, like March, didn't finish anything. Progress month, working, going out, hanging with friends, living the good life. So yeah, that was everything for the first half of the year so far. Next, we shall move on to July. So, July. Just had one FO, which is this lovely ribbed hat. This yarn is from Stitch Noir Fiber Arts, Amanda, who's in a knit group that like a knit Zoom group, and I met her at the Kawartha Yarn Fiber Festival, and I bought this yarn from her. This is her merino worsted, and this colorway is called Gumball Purple. She has a whole series of gumball colorways, so you have your base color and then all these just beautiful speckles on top. And I saw this in the skein and I was just immediately in love with it, and I knew I wanted it to be a ribbed hat. And this one I didn't really follow a pattern. It's kind of like the Purl Soho ribbed hat. I did some funky stuff with the decreases because I kind of wanted to like figure out a decrease that I liked. So it can lay a little weird sometimes. It definitely has an orientation that it prefers that I put it in. Yeah, this way. It just sits best this way. Any other way it might have a bit of a weird angle, but that's just the way I did the decreases. There's nuance to it. I wear this hat super often though. The worsted folded over is lovely for keeping my ears warm, and the colors are just fantastic. I just, knitting this hat, wearing this hat, the dyer of the yarn for this hat, just love everything about it. So yeah, this was a nice like palette cleanser project where it was just simple 1x1 rib, just trucking along with this wonderful yarn and colorway. Summer knitting, have a hat, went to the beach, it was wonderful. Next up we have August, and August was another low-key month for me on the knitting front. I think, let's see here. Yes, I only did one thing, this is number 11. I haven't even sewn in the ends. But this is the Knitting Badge Neckerchief by, let me double check my name here, Nikolas Heed. Nikolas is very fun to follow on Instagram, very interesting photography and knit projects. I think Rouge just really wants to be on my lap. Let's see if she'll go for it. I'm not going to invite you, but if you go for it, I will let you. Anyway, oh, Maeve, lots of drama with these dogs. Yeah, so this Knitting Badge Neckerchief, like I said, it's knit in Life in the Long Grass, which is a skein of yarn that Mega of Skeins of Dreams actually gifted to me when I was having a bad time at the beginning of 2021, and she sent me this lovely yarn package. So this was one of the skeins that was in it. And As far as this goes, like again, I haven't sewn in my ends. I haven't worn this once, but again, this was just like a really nice, like, my brain is tired. I just want to knit something, and this was just very pleasant. I would definitely knit this again. I think I have to, we've got some squirrel Mission Impossible happening over here. I'll put a photo in, but my dad has this contraption set up for feeding the birds so the squirrels won't get to it. And the squirrel's going for it. I think he's giving up. Oh, hi. Just a lot of animal stuff happening right now. Come on up. Commit to the bit. Okay. Glad we got to this point. I don't know what else to say about this. It was just a fun thing, knit for knit's sake. And I might try to style this at some point. I don't really know if I'm a neckerchief person, but you know, this kind of thing. Little Boy Scout energy. That was August. What's after August, my love? September. In September, like, how's this gonna work? Google, how's this gonna work? Okay, in August I just had, or September, sorry, this thing is quickly falling apart. Ruth, just lay down, good girl. In September, I just had one FO, which is the Granny's Attic Sock Test Knit. This was a pattern for James N. Watts. He was the designer of Look at My Holes. And yeah, I saw the call for this test knit and it just looked very fun, funky, so I gave it a go. It's these lovely mohair ruffles. Okay, you wanna go get the squirrel. Go get the squirrel, good girl. She finally noticed the antics. I love her so much. It's a simple vanilla sock pattern with a short row heel, ribbed cuff, and just these lovely attachments of mohair done in stockinette stitch. There also is a lace version, so you can do a lace cuff. I haven't tried that one myself. Might be worth looking into though. It's very Victorian chic. I consider this a finished object, even though I actually only finished one of the socks. Because for a test knit for a sock, you only have to knit one sock. So this one is kind of like a 0.5 finished object, I guess. But I'm calling it as one of the finished ones because this was a test knit, I submitted it, I gave my feedback, and it was a first for me in 2022. So I can't help but shake this thing. This purple mohair has been popping up a lot this year. I do have a sweater coming up soon, but it was in the duck, it's in this one, it was in the mittens. It was just my year of this purple mohair from Knit Picks. It was in so many things. That purple mohair accumulated in my October finished object, which was the Sheer V sweater by Jessie May. Da, 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 da. I started this in April and it only got finished in October, so it was a bit of a journey for me. But yeah, this is a lovely sweater. I used Knit Picks palette and the Knit Picks mohair, the famous Knit Picks mohair aloft that's been in so many projects. And it's wonderful, it's lovely. It's soft, it's got good drape, it was pleasant to knit. I haven't knit anything in this particular color before, so this was a bit of a color experiment for me, but I think it turned out, looks very nice on me. And yeah, I've got good things to say. I did do a slight modification. I could have done more of a modification, but on the shoulder section here, I actually did decrease this to bring it in a little bit. I definitely could have been more aggressive. I think I did like 5 on each edge, so like 5, 10, 15, 20 stitches decreased from the body portion as opposed to the shoulder area, or sorry, the bust to the shoulder. Definitely could have been more aggressive. I was just nervous because I hadn't done those kind of decreases for the first time. But basically it's trying to create that arm scythe because obviously my shoulders are more narrow than my bust. So if you just knit your same size for your bust as for your shoulders, you're gonna have a lot of bagginess and folding over in your armpit area. So I was trying to avoid that. So I definitely did help, but next time I make a sweater like this that has the, you pick up for sleeves or has a set-in sleeve, nice and easy, old lady. Oh, honey. Next time I do a pattern like this, I'm going to be a little more aggressive in my decreases because, again, makes that like just more, it's just a better finish. It is. It looks nicer. It's more set to your body, and with knitting, getting it to my measurements is what I'm trying to do. So yeah, the sheer V sweater. I would knit this pattern again, though I'm not in a rush to do it, just because I think this is such a pretty, such a pretty pattern that I kind of just want there to be one in my wardrobe. I want it to be kind of special, if that makes sense. So I would like to have more of these at some point, but I'm not in a rush to do it because I just feel like it's my pretty girl sweater. So I'm just having my pretty girl sweater for now. But I think one in a light oatmeal color or sage green would be just beautiful. So yeah, this one was kind of my sweater of the year. Next up, we have the month of November, in which I had one finished object. During this time, I was very busy with school. Exams were going to be happening in the next month, December. There's just plenty going on, so I didn't have as much time for knitting as I would have liked. And I finished the Manhattan Bulky Test Knit for Tori U, or Tori Knits NYC. This again was my second test knit, and it was just a nice way to get involved in the knitting community, to be involved in test knits this year. This was just a ribbed hat with some very fun decreases at the crown to give you kind of like a bit of a gnome hat shape. It's pretty stylish, it's fun, it's funky. I ended up gifting this to my cousin, and she loves it, and I've seen her wearing it around, and no, it's just simple, easy on the brain. We love a ribbed hat. The decreases were fun. I think I'm going to be knitting more Manhattan bulky hats. For some reason, I'm struggling with saying those words right now. And for the month of December, drumroll please, the moment we've all been waiting for, I made this lovely pattern here. This is Slothier by Vedis Jonsdottir. I'm definitely not saying that correct. I'll put her name on the screen just to give credit where credit is due. This is a pattern that was done for Let Lopi, Eastex. I knit it though in Knitpeck's Wonder Fluff, which is wonderful. I am such a big fan of this yarn. I have tons of it left over, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, this I will link right over here, was the sweater that was the subject of my last vlog. That was my Christmas sweater challenge, to see if I could cast on a sweater December 1st and have it finished to wear on Christmas. I did not have it finished to wear on Christmas, like big spoiler alert warning, which there was one lady who was pretty disappointed in me that I didn't finish my sweater in that vlog. Can't please everyone. You know, I was a busy student, let me live. Anyway, it's done now, and this is actually the first time I'm wearing it, and it's fantastic. I am so happy with it. It fits me very nicely. It's the right length. I wasn't sure if, oh, like, am I making this too short on the body? But I trusted myself, like I knew what I was looking for, and it's perfect. I love everything about this sweater. The yarn itself was beautiful to knit with. It's very soft. It's mostly alpaca content. It's very light. It's easy on the hands, and just wearing it, like, I just feel like a nice, warm, cozy hug. This is a fantastic sweater. Yeah, I'm in the glow about it. I kind of feel like this sweater represents how far I've come as a knitter, like just the awareness of, it has the short rows that I added in. The short rows are actually in this area, right before the yoke you do the short rows, as opposed to around the neck, so you don't have like this gap at the back of the neck. I don't know if I can turn and show, but the color work is the same all the way around the neck. It doesn't at any point have like a chunk of just all black or all white or whatever. So it hides the short row shaping. I added the short row shaping in. I used TinCanKnits Strange Brew sweater pattern for that. It's the right length. It's like the arms fit beautifully. And the color work, I think I did a fantastic job on it. It's very balanced. It's not pulled too tight anywhere. It's not buckling. And yeah, it's just like this kind of shows off the skills that I've developed over the past, I guess, 4 years of knitting that I've done. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I just feel so happy about this sweater. So that was everything I knit in 2022. Very knit heavy year, didn't do much in the way of other crafts, but that's okay. We've got all of time ahead of us. In 2023, I definitely like to do some more needle felting, which I did in my 2021 year wrap up. Love needle felting. This year I want to learn how to spin at some point. My good friend Corinne is made herself available to teach me at some point. I just kind of have to find the time and network and we can make it happen. But I have everything I need to learn how to spin and I do want to try that. Because knitting with yarn that you made yourself, what sounds like a great experience. Other than that, I have some fun things in store for 2023. I made a Make 9 this year, which I haven't made a Make 9 before. I'm not too worried about sticking to it like very closely. It's more so just like these are techniques and patterns that I want to try, want to learn. So I'm putting it out there, I'm manifesting it. The other thing is ideally I want to work from my stash yarn as much as possible. I've accrued quite a collection and it's yarn that I do want to use and I bought with a pattern in mind and I still want to make that pattern. So that's a goal for 2023 is to make what you wanted to make and use what you wanted to use. I have this kind of treat yourself thing set up where if I don't buy any yarn for a month, then I'll let myself buy a pattern. I'm like weirdly stingy when it comes to patterns. I don't know why. I think it's because there's just so many free patterns available. Like for example, Slothier here, free pattern, beautiful. So I'm weirdly stingy with knitting patterns, but I don't want to be like that because if something is beautiful and I think it would look good on me and I want to knit it, like $10 Canadian shouldn't stand between me and that. But I'm pretty like conscious of like spending. So I don't want to buy a pattern and then never end up knitting it. I really only want to buy a pattern if I'm certain I'm going to knit it or I'm just about to like, okay, I'm ready to cast on. I bought the yarn, I'm buying the pattern now. So that's something that I thought would be kind of a nice way to incentivize myself to, okay, like let's not buy yarn. Instead, let's wait, we'll save and buy a pattern that you know you want to make and you have yarn for already and you're ready to go on that. So that's kind of a little 2023 thing I have going on. But if I buy yarn, that's fine. I like collecting yarn. I love indie dyed yarn. And if I want to make a sweater out of a color that I don't have, I'm not gonna punish myself for buying yarn. So yeah, I have like a very like loosey-goosey stash down 2023 vibe going. So that's that. As far as the month of January and knitting plans for January, I've kind of set myself to finishing all my whips. We're currently at January 9th. We're working on it. I haven't finished anything yet, but I like the idea of starting February, just casting on new things and having all new stuff for the rest of the year, as opposed to having like things that are lingering on, haunting me, if you will. So I'm going to show off my whips and then I think we're going to wrap this bad boy up until next time. So first up, I have my second sock for my Granny's Attic socks. Those are the lovely frilly ones. I just have the leg made, so I have to do our cuff, foot, toe, and then the floofs as well. This one I've kind of stalled out on because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a different heel and then like rip out the foot portion and knit it differently. I think what I'm going to end up doing is knitting it the same, but I'm just going to add a little bit more length in the foot, just because that heel doesn't fit my foot as well as a heel flap and gusset does. So I think it just needs a little bit more room to stretch around my foot. So I was kind of taking my time finishing this just because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But now that I am more confident, I think this will whip through once I pick it up. The Sweet Georgia yarn that I knit this with is very nice, the sock yarn to knit with. It's beautiful and bouncy, and this colorway Peony is just beautiful. It's kind of Pepto-Bismol, but in a nice way. So that is one whip that I want to have done for January. Another one that I have going is, I started this in November, before I committed to the lovely Slothier. This is another 1898 hat. I knit a version of this hat before for my dad. It is a garter stitch double brim ear flap hat. I can't really show it on myself very well right now, but you know, like this. It's kind of goofy, but it's very fun to knit. It's very comfortable, and this is knit in Spite colorway in Feisty Fibers worsted. I bought this yarn on Valentine's Day when I was single in 2022, and yeah, the spite just kind of rung home for me at that point in that time. So this yarn does make me laugh every time I see it, because it's my spiteful Valentine's Day yarn. We're not spiteful anymore. It's fine. We're in a good place. So yeah, I think this would be fun to have it knit up and done before Valentine's Day in 2023. So I can say that I bought this yarn and I used it within the year. Also just a very fun pattern. So I have to finish the band and knit the cap, but this is going along very quickly. It's been the main one I've been knitting on for this first week of January. Next up, I have a very languishing whip in my wonderful I Love a Good Fingering Knitting Goddess bag. These socks, I think I started in February or March. It's one sock. It's not socks yet. These are these fantastic Lion brand neon yellow socks with a cable detail there. The cable is from Socks on a Plane, but otherwise this is just a vanilla sock that I knit to my specifications with my heel slip stitch heel and gusset that I love. And every time I pull these socks out, I'm like, wow, these are fantastic socks. I want to wear these. I love the color yellow. These are really funky. And yet I still haven't finished it. So I'm really close. I'm really close. I can definitely finish this sock in January. I don't know if I'm going to get the second sock knit in this month, but it might be something where I have to just be like, this is sock week, and I knit the sock in a week. Yeah, the Lion brand yarn, it's kind of a crusty sock yarn, and I like crusty sock yarns. They just make my feet feel like exfoliated, which sounds a bit gross, but it feels good for your feet to wear a coarse sock yarn. The soft ones are nice for when you want to be like good to yourself, but the kind of crusty, rusty sock yarn, I like how it feels. I'm into it. So the Lion brand Sock Ease, in my opinion, great, cheap yarn. This ball of yarn was like $10. I forget the name of it. I think it's Lemon Drop. Yes, this is the Lemon Drop colorway. So that's my other languishing sock. Finally, I have the lovely Oyagi shawl by Knit Boop, also called Yura. That's her real person name. But goes by Knit Boop on Ravelry and Instagram handles, all that stuff. I'm currently in the middle of a row, which is something I never do. I never will stop in the middle of a row, but you caught me at a bad time. So this is the first shawl I've ever knit. I'm loving knitting it, highly recommend. I like the way that Yura wrote out the pattern and the design itself. So it is a asymmetrical triangle. It is knit in Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock, as well as Knitting for Olive Merino, which I think I said earlier I hadn't used more Knitting for Olive Merino. I'm a liar and a cheat. The Knitting for Olive Merino is this lovely dark red color. I think it's Claret is the color. And then it's Fauna for the Sweet Georgia. So pretty much all I have left to do is just this plain garter section of Sweet Georgia. And my plan is to basically just try to use up this whole skein, so that I don't have too much in the way of leftovers. If I have a little bit left over, that's fine for like a scrappy sock. But just as far as how big I want this shawl to be, I used up the entire skein of Knitting for Olive. And it wasn't quite enough. This section here should have still been stripy, but I ran out, so it's fine. I'm not going to buy a whole extra skein of yarn just to add a couple stripes. It's not that serious. It's never been that serious. Yeah, big fan of this though. Not really much of a shawl or scarf wearer, but making this has just been such a delight. Just like knitting to make a beautiful fabric, to embrace designs, has been very validating, very rewarding to knit. So I think that I'm gonna become a shawl person after this, because I love having it around and I'm so excited to wear it. And I want to knit more shawls. I don't currently have any shawls in my queue. I haven't found like something that really calls to me again, but yeah, I got shawls in the brain. So those are my January plans. Finish up the whips, and then in February we're gonna have a cast on party. in conclusion, just wanted to say thank you for sticking along through this video and celebrating the year that was. 2022 was the year that was very good to me. I had to push myself through a lot of things, but I started school, I started a new relationship, I made new friends by putting myself out there and like trying to make friends. And the year just ended on a really positive note. It's been a lovely holiday season. I had a very fun New Year's, which I love celebrating New Year's with friends, and I haven't been able to do that for a while. And it just felt so good. So 2022 is going to have a very warm place in my heart and in my memory. And I'm looking forward to what 2023 has to bring. I know there's going to be challenges, but also I'm looking forward to the fun, beautiful, and exciting parts of it all. And I'm wishing all the best for you, dear viewer, as well. I hope 2023 treats you well and that you enjoyed your 2022. And if it was a hard year, that you can find the good parts in it in your memory to hold on to. And yeah. You'll see me around here. Maybe I'll pop in, do a check-in at the end of the month, or maybe beginning of February. I usually do a monthly video. It's kind of when I like to check in. So we'll see how all that goes. But until the next time, friends, take care, be well, and Happy New Year. All right, now that we have our introductions out of the way, crap, I can't remember if I turned the camera on. Yeah, so these are very fun, funky socks. Oh my gosh. It's just bro, what are you doing? The squirrel did get down. He's fine. I'll have to tell Dad he has to continue his squirrel war with a different contraption.